Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another post-game podcast of the Missing Wolves. I'm your host, Andrew. Today we have one of the pillars of Wolves Twitter, Dane podcast alum, currently Flagrant, Howls, and Dane podcast, and pretty much everything else in the world. Kyle Theige, how's it going, man?
How's it going, buddy? I was hoping we would do one of these after a win, but I told you I skipped hot yoga for this. So you kind of ruined my night, to be honest with you and the Timberwolves.
Is it just like a Score North thing that everyone's doing hot yoga now? Like I see Phil on Instagram is near dying after hot yoga. You're doing hot yoga. Is that a thing?
Dude, you know this. Aging is a thing. So the only time I can touch my toes is if I bend my knees, right? Or I get in the fetal position, which again is kind of where I feel like after watching the Wolves play defense tonight is the fetal position. But it's good for your soul and heart, but sometimes you got to take your medicine, and I feel like that's what we did tonight, watching the Timberwolves be up 4 at halftime and then just give up a 40-point third quarter like the good old days.
Yes, and much like the good old days, the first half I was sitting there going, this is going to be a great podcast. We can talk about Carl getting 2 offensive fouls, both of which are just blatantly obvious, and he's screaming loud enough for the TV mics to pick him up. And nope, that is not what happened. The defense completely fell apart. And I mean, the fourth quarter didn't look inspiring. I mean, I know, you get punched in the mouth and this team sometimes doesn't respond accordingly, but let's talk about the defense. I mean, it's just glaring to me how different it is when Rudy Gobert just checks out of the game. And I see a lot of people on First Says What defense. True. Yes. Let's talk about the Knicks offense and what we did to try and stop it. I mean, it just seems like Rudy checks out of the game and defense no longer becomes required. I mean, what have your takes been on that so far this season?
Yeah, I think our guy Dane Moore had something that the Wolves have a defensive rating of 142.2, and Rudy has been off the floor this season, and 107.2 when he is on the floor. I think you saw a couple minutes in that first half where Rudy came off, and it was Jalen Clark and Jaden McDaniels. So that was felt inspiring at the moment, but it's a conundrum, right? And Jace Frederick tweeted this out, but it's a little bit of you're not in Charlotte anymore, right? Toto, you're not in Brooklyn anymore. This team is just built still, I think. I mean, they're not going to be as good as the defense from 2 years ago because personnel-wise, they don't have Nikhil and they don't have Kyle Anderson and some of those guys. And the guys they rely on, like Rudy and like Mike, I think a little bit to play defense, are just older. And the Rudy Gobert thing is its own conversation, right? And it's like he can't catch the ball, and offensively he dominates against bad teams and stuff. But it is glaring that when he is off the court, they are the worst defense in the entire league. The whole Julius and Nas 4-5 thing just doesn't work. Offensively, it can give you some life, but it just doesn't work defensively. And defense aside, I mean, this is so stupid, but defense a lot of the times not only getting a stop, it's getting the rebound, right? Like forcing a shot that misses. Well, if they offensive rebound the ball, that's not really good defense, right? I think the Wolves had 9 offensive rebounds tonight, and I think Mitchell Robinson had 9 offensive rebounds tonight. They were dominated on the glass.
At one point, he had 5 offensive rebounds in 9 minutes.
50 to 31 out rebounded, 62 to 40 points in the paint, advantage New York. New York took 102 shots. I don't know the last time in a regulation kind of normal 48-minute game I remember a box score, which, by the way, quick side note, whoever redesigned the ESPN NBA box score, prison. Send them to prison. It's terrible. But no, I mean, it was shades of the Grizzlies stuff, right? Like just getting back in the day when Pat Bev was on the team, like just getting dominated in the paint, giving up offensive rebounds, maybe forcing a tough shot. But if they get a second and third look, it doesn't really matter. And that does come back to Rudy, right? That's got to be, we were kind of sold on, hey, Rudy didn't have to play in Europe or in any international play this summer. He should be fresh. And he looks fresh, right? He looked fresh against the Hornets and he looked fresh against the Nets. But, I know he kind of took a pay cut, Andrew, like in that extension, right? But at the end of the day, he's still making $30 million. And he said he wanted to be Defensive Player of the Year again for the 5th time. He just has to be better. And then I think at some point, and I go back and forth on this because I'm sure the comment section right now is just putting up French flags for baby Baguette, that he should come in. This is a really loaded rookie class. You look up and down teams' rosters, guys that were drafted in 2025 are producing for the various teams, good teams and bad teams. I know he's not ready. Like, and you go watch him warm up like before games at home, and I always watch him in Portland, and like there's a lot of raw stuff there. He is a ball of clay. They want to mold him. But I'm also then like I watch basketball through my dumb, smooth little brain. I'm like, okay, but he's 6'10" and has a 7'4" wingspan. Like, maybe he'll just get rebounds. Like maybe he won't know what to do offensively. Maybe he won't know how to do dribble handoffs, and maybe he won't know how to set certain screens, and it'll hurt you offensively. But a long-winded rant of like the defense right now, it doesn't matter if you're the 73-win Warriors. Like if you can't stop your opponent and you're going to give them 102 shots, you're going to lose 95% of those games. So I will say, and I know the Finch crowd, can come and go, but I think Finch has been more experimental this season than I can ever remember. He's closed with hot hands. He's tried stuff. No Terrence Shannon Jr. tonight. He was hurt. He was ruled out. But I just think he's going to have to just go to that button sooner than later. I don't think he can send him down to Iowa. I think Baron J just needs to get, 8 to 10 minutes and just see, like, what is it like always having a quote-unquote 7-footer on the court? Because Mitchell Robinson is hella offensively challenged, right? Like, he's not really a threat other than lobs and putbacks. But if you could, like, get dollar store Mitchell Robinson from Baron J for 20, 30 games just to kind of throw some shit at the wall and see if it sticks, I think that's got to probably be the move. Because, again, the numbers, when Rudy's out there, it's pretty good. And when he's off the court, man, you're like worse than the Nets, and you can't be worse than the Nets.
The Nas Julius Randle pairing, including tonight, I just looked up their defensive rating. So they've played a surprising amount of minutes together, 78 minutes so far. It's a 137.2 defensive rating for just Nas and Randle paired out there together. That's, if you extrapolate that for an entire season, that would be the worst defense in the history of the league. Like that, you cannot go from Rudy Randle that has a sub 112 and Rudy Nas who has a sub 110, and then you just pluck Rudy out of that scenario, and now it's the worst post defense like ever statistically. I mean, it just can't happen. And I'm kind of with you. I don't know. I don't know how much worse Johan could be than already statistically terrible. Mm-hmm. Why not try him? I think the other side of that, though, is, where's his minutes coming from? Because then it is probably going to come from Reed, or it's going to come from Randle in that situation. I think, Rudy is not the problem on defense, but you look at the Wolves on offense. As of like 2 or 3 days ago, before the Brooklyn game, when Rudy was playing, they had the worst offense in the league and were a top 10 defense. So it's like, that's not really going to fix the problem either, just playing Rudy and Baron J for 48 minutes. It's just a really weird roster problem that they have here now, where theoretically, it's just Nas has to play better defense. Randle has to play better defense. I don't know. I'm not sitting here watching the film with Chris Finch to know every single thing that they're screwing up on, but now we have a sample size that you can point to and be like, that's a problem. How would you fix it? Would it be just kind of as simple as trying to get Baron J out there more, maybe having Nas or Randle play? Nas played at the 3 closing the Brooklyn game. Maybe that's an option for him, but what would your kind of move be?
Well, this because we talk offline, but like this sucked. That was a bad game. They got kind of curb stomped, but I'm also like enjoying it because I kind of enjoy the process of, you look at the roster right now, right? Like tonight, we can talk about Robin a little bit, but like he was kind of just not part of the picture tonight. So Finch basically kind of went back to playing 8 guys, right? 7 guys played over 15 minutes, but Ant was just clearly not himself. As Chris Hines said, kind of a shake the rust game off, both offensively, defensively too. I just thought he's just trying to feel out his legs again. You actually are a medical person. I just pretend to work in it, but like those hamstrings, you got to kind of feel them out.
I don't get paid without your crucial work in the medical field. So
that's true.
You are imperative to me, to all of us being able to be employed. So don't sell yourself for it.
you did a really good job talking about broken noses. You wrote about that, and like I can say like broken noses are super painful, but like you also hamstrings. Tell us a quick bit since we're on Ant. Like that hamstring thing is nagging. Clearly, he was cleared. It was like the 10 days of the 7 to 10 days thing. But I just watching him, and people listening to this have watched thousands of minutes of Anthony Edwards. He just didn't look like himself, but it didn't look like he was hurt. It just kind of looked like feeling yourself out after you come back from an injury.
Yeah, I did a hamstring piece right after he got injured too, which that's for people that don't follow my written work. That's one of my weird niches is breaking down medical, like actual injuries in layman's terms with weird analogies that involve 80s movies and stuff. But like back on track, like hamstring injuries suck because the only way you can heal them is to not use it. I mean, if you think of like a rubber band that has a tear in it, every time you stretch that rubber band, the tear is going to get a little bit worse. Theoretically, if a rubber band could heal itself, if you weren't stretching it, that rubber band would get better. Same thing with a hamstring. You can't use it. So a lot of times when guys come back from calf or hamstring injuries, they're just really out of shape. My guess is Ant probably hasn't done more than a light workout in the last, probably. I mean, I'll say like before he went out on this road trip, like, he's doing stuff with C. Hines and all that. But like, I'm sure he hasn't been doing his normal workout routine in 10 days. And I think that showed. It looked like his legs were a little tired. He airballed like a 3 in the third quarter, like hilarious. Maybe it's the fourth quarter, but like hilariously bad. And like Ant doesn't airball. Like that to me is just legs aren't quite back, which hopefully by Friday, a couple more practices and a shoot around in, maybe it's feeling a little bit more up to his condition or up to his like standard of conditioning. But like hamstrings suck. It's also like another thing where, I mean, we saw it with Justin Jefferson a few years ago, where if you are not 100% ready to go, those things can linger the entire season. So it's just a bad situation for Ant to be in because you're either out of shape coming back or you're risking injuring it again.
Right. And that was the Medical Minute with Dr. Dukowitz, sponsored by Pence Homes. No, the reason I brought that up is because I just thought it was a bad game for Ant. And you can give him that because he's working himself back. But if you play 8 guys and 3 of those guys are a limited Anthony Edwards and a Dante DiVincenzo and a Mike Conley. And then I thought I was watching the ESPN broadcast tonight because I had to, because I have never cut the cord. So I still have a cable box. But they were kind of calling out Jaden McDaniel's defense, especially in that second half, for like just being lazy on the perimeter. But what I'm trying to say is it reminded me, speaking of old movies, of like in Space Jam when they have Michael Jordan chained up on the top of that thing and one at a time guys just get to go dunk on him. That's kind of what it is like for Rudy sometimes. Like the perimeter, if Jaden is not setting the tone and Jalen Clark's not out there and then Ant's limited, I mean, Dante and Mike, for the most part, Mike more than Dante, just kind of get cooked. So I say that because if you put Berenger back in there to back up Rudy, maybe that will help, right? And again, this is all about tonight for me, the defense. I'm not really focused on the offense. I think the offense is, Jack Borman had some really fun tweets out there. Like the offense is humming, and it was humming with Julius. I know it was against bottom feeders, and to be honest, they have bottom feeders coming up, Andrew, for the next 2 weeks. Like a lot of Kings, Jazz, Suns. So maybe they'll find something. But to the defense, if you replace one 7-footer with another French 7-footer, that might help. But I'm looking more at like Terrence, if he comes back, Nas, even Julius. Like, can you get those tweener 2, 3, 4 guys to just help? Because when the defense was really good, Rudy was awesome when he won Defensive Part of the Year. But the perimeter was also locked down. I mean, tonight, how many times have you watched in the first, they're 4-4 now. How many times have you watched in the first 8 games? You're like, you know what? I'm glad he got the bag, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I miss you. Like, the meme where you're holding the little picture on the bed, like Nickeil's in that picture for me. And I just think they have to find.
Brandon Beck was on the pod after the last game, and we were both kind of talking about that of just Nickeil. They miss him a lot more than I think they thought they would, which, I mean, I'll ask you this because I think Nickeil was so good at like navigating those on-ball screens, which NBA, like the NBA runs an on-ball screen every single play, no matter what, always. Like it is just going to happen. You're going to run into 100 of those. And Nickeil was like 90th percentile of dodging those screens, making himself small. He'd do this weird leg draw that like people would trip over and he'd draw offensive fouls on. Dante can't do that. Like, he's not like quick enough side to side. Mike used to be like the GOAT of doing that, but now he's 39, and that's not like that. You just physically can't do that at that level. And then like Jaden and TJ just look too big. Like when they're doing it, it looks like a big guy wearing like a small suit. And like that leaves only Ant that is like above average at doing that. And when Ant is injured, or like tonight he's kicking rust off and getting back into shape, how are you gonna guard the number one like action in basketball right now when you have no one that can do it? And then again, to your point, you come off that screen, if they've effectively screened out Jaden or screened out TJ, then it's just Rudy's getting dunked on or laid up on like every play. I just don't know how they fix that unless like Jalen Clark is going to get a ton of minutes moving forward.
And so I think it might be a roster problem, because like when you watched Ant, and again, that sounds like holy bleep, a hot take. It's November 5th. Like, hear me out. But when Ant would, and again, I saw the comment like DDV was the only one who wasn't horrible tonight. We'll talk about the offense, because again, I'm not worried about the offense.
They have enough on offense.
There was a basketball porn video online of when they've made 12 passes to get the most wide open three. Like, that's Chris Finch basketball. But it doesn't matter if you can't stop your opponent. And tonight, there's a couple times where Ant was trying to get loose off a screen, and it's like, okay, I got to get Mikal Bridges off me. Come set a high pick. Oh, now OG Anunoby's on me. And then he's like, I need to set another pick. And then Josh Hart's on me. And I know basketball is positionless now, but there's times where I'll have like a glass of wine and I'm like, the Wolves have one small forward on the whole roster, and it's Jaden McDaniels. And again, I know that small forwards are not really a thing anymore, but like, it'll be late at night and I'll be like, man, I miss Troy Brown Jr. Or like, I think they just need like, they have these guards.
Kyle,
right?
you're staying up too late if you're like Troy Brown.
I got
Jr.
a lot of problems. So I mean, there's
Trevion Graham. Is he doing anything? He was pretty good at that too.
Can he fight someone? Like the point guard rotation is an issue, and I'm sure you've talked about that a lot. But like right now, it's Rob and Mike and Dante, and they're all small. And if Ant's limited, like the whole point of this 15-minute rant back and forth is like they just don't have enough guys. And Jalen Clark, I do think, is an answer to that. And I think we're gonna probably navigate as the dust settles a little bit to Jalen Clark 20 minutes a game. He did hit that corner three in front of the bench. He also went 0 for like 7 against Brooklyn, and I think he missed those 2 free throws. So, and he's a confident guy. He's going to keep shooting, and that's like the worst thing that can happen, right? If you stop shooting the ball, he's going to keep letting it rip, but he's in his own head. You're at these games. I've been watching the road trip. Like, he has looked up to the heavens more times than anyone who goes to church. Like, he is just praying that something will click offensively for him. And you can't play guys in 2025 that are just one-way dudes. So I think it's a little bit of a roster problem. I mean, I think eventually we're a long ways away from you and I ever talking about trades. Don't you dare. Yeah. Don't say it. I'm not bringing up John Morant. We're not doing that tonight. But I wonder.
That was your only request before the pod started, and then you just organically brought him up. So
yeah,
I'm off.
That is on me. I just think that Finch, again, it sucks that Terrence Shannon Jr. was out tonight because he hasn't been good at all. But between him and I think between Nas, who, Dane is always kind of hyping up to play more 3, and I think he looks really good. That big lineup, the size matters lineup that they played against Brooklyn was awesome. And you replaced Dante with Ant, and you have Jaden and Nas and Julius and Rudy. That's awesome. They just got to find more from kind of this hybrid 3-4 thing to help out, because to me, again, I think Rudy can be better. I think Rudy should be better, but it doesn't really matter what he can do at the rim if the perimeter is just a sieve. And I think the perimeter is a sieve. And then once they do get into the paint, once they get a 3 off, no one's really boxing out. And those 2 issues are just kind of like energy, hustle, whatever, lack of attention to detail. But those tonight, you can break it down as much as you want, offensive rating, defense rating. I just think guys, they didn't box out. They didn't guard the perimeter, and it was just a straight line drive to the rim for 48 minutes.
I mean, there was like some perfect. I know the play you're talking about with Jaden, where it's just OG Anunoby blows by him and gets a layup, and there's no one there. Like, it was just a layup line. And I always hesitate to like call out a team's effort level, because like, I don't know, like you just don't know what these guys are dealing with during the day, or like, maybe there's a flu going around. You just never know. But like, it does seem like a lot of the things schematically on defense, it's a personnel thing to me. Like they just don't have enough guys that can dodge screens. And like the guys that they do have that play really good defense never get to touch the ball on offense if things are going right. Where like Jaden doesn't get a lot of opportunities, just call his own number and do his own thing when Ant's playing. And Rudy, if he makes a bad decision in the first quarter, he gets iced out of the game for the next 3. And like both of them have talked about it over the last year of just like when you're not touching the ball on offense, it's really hard to get dunked on all the time.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's another problem of it. I mean, it's just such a hard time of the year to fix it, though, right?
Yeah. Again, on the ESPN broadcast, that was really smart that you brought up about just like touching the ball. Doris Burke referenced like kinetic energy, that Mike Brown just wants people to touch the ball, even if that possession you're not going to shoot it. I mean, I still play basketball at some level, but like, yeah, it is nice to just touch the ball sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if you're not trying to finish or do it, like it just kind of gets you moving. Like, I'll take a dribble, I'll kick it out, then I'll go set a screen. And when Rudy and those guys don't touch the ball, I do think it affects them. Now, there's the other side of the coin where it's like, okay, but you make $30 million, like you're going to make it in the Hall of Fame because of your defense. Like, can you just help set that up? But to your point about the human just nature of things, I think this is where you and I gel the most. It's like, I also just thought Jaden gave up on the play because he was frustrated because they just kept giving up layups. And he knew that like, there's no Rudy behind me. Like, bleep it. Watch this. I'm going to go half-ass around this screen. OG's going to go right by me. He's going to get a dunk because Jalen Clark's behind me and there's going to be no rim protection. So I do think it's an odd time because it does get dark at 5 o'clock right now to try to fix this. But I also think we're 8 games in, right? Like, what is 8 divided by 82? I work in finance. It's like 8%. So I think they just need to continue to experiment. And that's why, going back to the top, if it doesn't work at game 40, game 45, I think Tim Conley pulls a lever and does go get someone. Also, too, you were just talking about the perimeter and the defense and the point guards. And it's like, hey, that's probably why you don't trade for John Morant. Again, I did that to myself, but I don't know what he's going to do to help defensively. But I think they just got to try Baron J more. I think when TJ is healthy, if his foot's okay, maybe see if like, hey man, I know offensively you don't really know what you're doing right now. You just don't know your spots, but can you give us that same level of intensity on the defensive end? And if you pick up 4 fouls, we're okay, right? Because he does play physical. He guards with his body a lot, but hey, that's okay, man. We just need guys to provide some resistance. He would be a big one. And then Nas too. Like, the Nas thing is tough because, especially these last couple of games, right? Being close to home and all the other stuff he's going through, you really struggle to try to be critical of him. Yeah. But if he's going to play the 3, he's got to guard 3s, right? Like, you can't just say, I play this position offensively. It's like, no, dude, like Travis Hunter, like you got to play both sides of the ball. And defensively, and
3s will cook him. Like, they just will. Like, he is not a very good perimeter defender, especially when there's not help behind him. I do want to run a couple ads here quick, Kyle, and then when we come back, I want to get back into the point guard thing if you got a few more minutes. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard, and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read, this time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. .com cut off. Whoever bet the under, you guys pay out tonight. Sean, kind of wrapped everything in a bow of what I wanted to get to after the break here, of just how much longer can Rob not play before he isn't a trade asset? Because at least on Wolves Twitter, which I do live and try and respond to, which every media member has told me not to do, but I'm just like, I don't know. Wolves Twitter is kind of fun. I've been festering in this stew for 10 years. Why not a little bit longer? But everything I've been seeing is kind of asking for like a trade. The Wolves need a point guard. They need a point of attack guy. Ant needs a Batman in the backcourt. Mike can't do it. Dante isn't a point guard. Rob isn't ready. All of these kind of things. And we will touch on the Chris Finch thing because I know he's been brought up as well. People know my feelings on Chris Finch, but I'd love to hear your thoughts too, Kyle. But back to the point guard issue, like, to me, when I'm looking at it, and I'll just phrase it this way, I don't know how many problems that would solve unless they are getting Derek White, who is not available for trade. I don't know, like DeJounte Murray. I don't think he moves the needle a ton. Ja Morant, like, the defense isn't going to get a ton better. De'Aaron Fox, I don't think that's going to make things a ton better. And also, like, when you're trading for a player that makes $40 million, you have to sell that team that they want Rudy Gobert. Like, Mike Conley isn't getting traded. Dante, maybe, but like unlikely. Like, whatever trade they do, it's going to be probably Rudy, Rob, or TJ. I don't know how a trade fixes a point guard issue, and I don't know how the point guard fixes the defense if you give up the only defensive player on this team. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, Kyle.
I think it's lazy analysis to do trades 8 games into the season, like whether that's
Fair.
how you do your content or whatever. Google works.
You
can go look
said
up
that so much more blunt than I did, and that's why I love having guests, because I don't have to say the mean things.
Go look up how many trades were made in the NBA on November 5th through November 20th. Like, it is just a feeling out period, and part of that is just like the legality of at like December 12th or whatever, 152 more guys become eligible for trades. You know what I mean? Like, just like the guys that signed deals this summer and stuff. So, but to the Rob point, let's just talk about Rob the player for now, not Rob the asset.
Yep.
I want him to be good. He was acquired partly because of the salary parts. Like, he doesn't make a ton of money, even though he was drafted really high compared to what Ja Morant makes or De'Aaron Fox makes. So it's like a nice asset if you can get a backup point guard who's electric and shifty, making $8 million a year. And I thought he's actually been coming on. Like, I've really enjoyed his play the last week or so. He and everyone else, other than maybe Dante, was abysmal tonight. Like, I just think you got to call a spade a spade. Like, I don't really care who. Ant was abysmal. Rudy was abysmal on the boards. There was 3 possessions in a row where I think Rob got switched and either forgot who to take on a switch or he found himself on Karl Anthony Towns. And that stuff is, I think, what Finch sees a little more than maybe us. And again, they didn't lose the game because of Rob. Their defense wasn't bad just because of Rob. But it's like, if he doesn't, Jake Painting, Howls and Growls did a great video about like just the defensive lapses when it was really bad before they got to eat, Twinkies against the Hornets and the Nets. But it was just a lot of guys like not switching. Like, hey, like, I'm getting a screen set, switch, no communication. I don't know whose fault it is. But the size stuff tonight, I felt was big. Like, I mean, even Deuce McBride is a small dude, but he had a size advantage on Rob. So defensively, again, he's part of the problem. He's not the problem. I mean, I think you got to point at the 7-footer who makes a lot of money, who should be anchoring the defense more. Offensively, just wasn't a good night. But I'm kind of optimistic still of, he too chews up a little bit against bad teams, but I'm okay with that because he's 20 years old. So I've liked his, progression through the beginning of the season. I know his minutes get pulled a little bit here and there, but the one thing that's so concerning with him is that I think his playmaking has been really good. He had 4 assists tonight again in limited time, a little bit of garbage time. But up until I think tonight was the first time he took a 3-point attempt. And that's like a pretty big deal. Like, if we're going to talk about point guards and scorers and hoopers, all that stuff, it's like he wasn't taking threes. There was a moment in the Nets game where he caught it in the slot. He was wide open, man. And he just drove to the rim. And it's like, hey, that's probably not your skill set, even though he does finish, at least this year in his sophomore season. I think he's finishing around the rim a little more. He has such great touch, but he has to space the floor. Otherwise, you're just kind of a smaller Jalen Clark. and they already have Jalen Clark. So like we're good over there. So I think with him, they're just gonna have to continue to force feed him enough minutes that doesn't sink the ship. Again, I do think he has really good like two-man game with Nas, and maybe he can bring Nas out of the funk. I think when he's out there with Rudy, I mean, he just has more shiftiness, not to like use a
Yeah.
cliche, but to get around screens and stuff than Mike does. Mike sometimes needs like a second, third screen to get open. Rob can
Mhm.
get by a guy. Now it's the decision making that he's got to figure out. But if Rob Dillingham was a stock, I'm buying because it's low, but I also think there's a chance. Now, big picture. 40 games from now, if it doesn't work out, I do wonder if they just were. I hate doing this stuff, but like if they do cut the cord or like, hey, we can't be a contender in our minds and in the minds of the league and have a backcourt of like Mike Conley and Rob Dillingham. And that's on both of those guys. But I'm not at the point yet where I'm trying to trade them. I'm worried about the trade asset. I think you see guys teams that are interested in young players are like, we'll give you 30 minutes and we'll ride it out. So I'm not worried about that yet, but I think Finch has got to give him some more minutes. I know we're talking about Finch in a second. And I think when Rob's out there, man, he does fight defensively. Like that's the one thing. Like I don't have a Donda Academy t-shirt, but I watched all the Rob minutes last year and I watch all the Rob minutes this year. He busts his ass on defense now. He's limited because he's small, but at least he's
Yep.
fighting. But it's when smart teams get him in certain pick and rolls, and all of a sudden he just is like looking up, and it's like there's Cat, and he's trying to find a teammate to like, hey, switch with me. And it's like, well, no, dude, you got Dante on the baseline and Jalen Clark in the corner. Neither you have to kind of man up, and then he just gets cooked. So that's a bigger defensive scheme thing again, but I'm not ready to cut the cord on Rob Dillingham by any means.
I really like Rob. Like I'll just be honest. Like as a person, I've been able to spend more time with him because he's been at
Yeah.
summer league
Great
both
kid.
years I've
Yeah.
been down there. Like he really like genuinely you can just tell when you talk to him that he wants it. And that last year really, really, really sucked for him. Like
Mm-hmm.
he has always been like hot shit. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like at Donda, he was the super cool point guard that made all the oohs and ahs in the crowd. In high school, he was a top recruit that was like super good at getting to the rim, like really good vision. At Kentucky, he has like a diehard fan base that travels. I mean, he has the second highest amount of social media follows on the team, only behind Ant. Like, and then he comes to Minnesota, and you're 100% right. Like, the defensive switching things, the not being able to get over screens, the foul troubles, the like all of those things are the things that Finch sees every day. And more importantly than Finch seeing it like in a scrimmage, like Rob's locker is next to Mike Conley and his personal development coach is Pablo Prigioni. That is
Right.
like
Yeah.
70 years of professional point guard that is basically like Velcroed to Rob's back. If they don't feel he's ready, he's just not going to get a chance, which I think this year they said all the right things saying, you know, he's ready to go. Let's give him a chance. Let's give him more of like a real shot at earning this
Mm-hmm.
job. And a lot of the things that were a problem last year and a problem in summer league continued to be a problem in preseason. And I mean, if there's one thing I would say, like Rob, I think, plays better when the talent around him is better. Like
Mm-hmm.
looking at him in preseason and summer league, even when he plays with like the backups at the end of games, like he makes a lot of really stupid decisions when he's playing with not as talented players. When he has like a clear defined Rob, you are the fourth option, dribble the ball up and pass it to Ant. He's fine. And on defense, you're 100% right. Like he tries and works. So I'm not ready to give up on him either. I would hate to see him get traded. And then, like, let's say Ja Morant does come to Minnesota in December and Rob Dillingham's in Memphis and they're giving him 36 minutes a night, like Brooklyn's giving Cam Thomas. Like, Rob's going to put up numbers in that situation. They're probably just not going to win a lot of games, which that's the trade-off, right? This is a 4-4 team now that's going to be fighting for seeding in the West for the next, 74 games. Like, how much are you going to give a young guy a chance when you're already kind of behind where you thought you would be?
I did shave today, so you can't see it, but I do have a couple gray hairs because again, We all have birthdays and we get a little older. So everything you said is true.
Well,
I also
thank you.
don't care. I also don't care. Like, because I know this from being a little behind the scenes, like Rob and Nas have a pretty good relationship, like a pretty good friendship, a little big brother type stuff. Nas Reed was also really popular in high school, and then he didn't get drafted, and he immediately saw his career maybe go up in smoke before it ever happened. Whereas like Rob was drafted 8th. So it's cool that he gets a lot of likes on Instagram. And this is where I'm coming off like the oldest guy in the room here, but also too, like,
oh yeah,
you're not the first guy to face some difficult shit. You know what I mean? For a better word. So, and to your point earlier, like he was cooking at Donda Academy. He was cooking at Kentucky when he was the best guy on the floor. Okay. But you just said now when he's on the court with lesser talent, he's not cooking. So make it make sense. And again, that sounds like I'm being hard on the kid, but it's just, I do kind of get weirded out by some of this. Like, well, he was a top pick. We got to, put him on a porcelain throne and like carry him around. Like, no, dude, like this is how it works for a lot of these younger players, whether you like it or not, right? Like, why does every rookie in the NBA get on the plane with a Dora the Explorer backpack? Because you got to kind of do the rookie stuff. So he's not a rookie anymore. Like he's not one of the young guys. Oh, he is a young guy, but like, I've been happy with how he has taken some of the punches and some of like the difficult hurdles in life. I mean, yeah, dude, he openly told us in Vegas, like last year was really hard for me because I came into this and I was the dude and then I never played. But he's also not the first guy to do that. And I just think other guys, he does have the best vets in his corner and stuff. But I just find it odd that, I mean, you even said, right, if he got traded to Memphis, he'd put up a bunch of points and they wouldn't win games. Right. Okay, but this team's trying to win games. And now they're losing games. And then it's kind of the other coin, chicken or egg of like, well, give the kid a shot. I want him to get a shot. Like if you were saying on Friday, it's either Terrence or Rob. I think Rob right now deserves those minutes more than Terrence does, even though I think Terrence can do a lot of stuff. Like I'm pro Rob, but I just kind of am over like all the cool stuff he did at 16 and 17. Like, well, dude, you're in the locker room, Andrew, like with adults. You get paid now to like be an adult. And I think you got to kind of handle it like an adult. I think Chris Finch, the worst thing he did to him was have a really tight leash. Well, he didn't always give that certain leash to other people. I think they have kind of come to an agreement. I think Joe Ingles has helped with that. I think Mike Conley's helped with that. But like Rob can't have a turnover, which he's going to have. Mike Conley's had a bunch of turnovers, right? Like you saw him tonight multiple times turn the ball over. If he's out there because he's the safety valve, the QB1, like you can't be throwing picks if you're QB1, right? Or otherwise just go to QB2 who can be more mobile and flexible and stuff. So yeah, it's a learning process for him, but I've really truly been happy with how he has taken a lot of the adversity and gotten better. Tonight was a bad night. No one really played well other than, the big Ragu, but I hope he continues to get a chance. I'm just not at the trade level yet, but I've liked what I've seen from Rob since Ant went out. Ant coming back tonight, I think everyone was a little messed up by. Just be like, he's such a usage hog in the best way possible. But they're going to have to find ways because to me, still, maybe Rob has the lowest floor on the team in terms of point guard. I don't even know if I believe that, but maybe. But he has the highest ceiling. Yeah. And this team needs to lean into the highest ceiling at least until Christmas or at least until Thanksgiving. You know what I mean?
I completely agree with you. I think he should be getting a shot. I think you kind of know what you got in TJ. Like, again, like the defense, I think should be a little better. He's a freight train on offense. Like I would rather see a little more go to Rob just to get an idea. But like the other thing I really appreciated that you said was just like, you're in the NBA now. Like it has to click, right? Like you need to figure out your role. You need to figure out like how to fit on this team. You got to figure all that out. And like weirdly enough, like Bones Highland has been very introspective about all of that stuff, which if you would have told me 4 months ago, I would be saying Bones Highland is introspective on a podcast. I don't think I would have really believed it, but like he's talked about that a lot, like with Rob standing next to him of like, hey, when I came into Denver, I was more worried about getting points than getting wins. And then I got traded to LA and then they signed James Harden and now I'm here. So I'm just trying to like survive. Yeah. And I think having like that perspective helps. I mean, the other thing I'd say to like people that are like worried about like, is he going to make it and stuff like that? For every rookie that makes it, there's like far more Wesley Johnsons, Johnny Davises, like borderline NBA guys that maybe have a 10-year career coming off the bench, but a lot of guys in the top 10 are just gone in 3 years. And I tend to think Rob has a better chance. Like, again, being around him, he seems like he has a good head on his shoulders, but at the same time, I'm sure a lot of those guys that are just gone have a good head. It's just, the NBA is hard.
I mean, dude,
Shocker.
one of the biggest storylines from this summer was a player who was never in the coach's, circle of trust, was drafted higher than Rob Dillingham, like Jonathan Kuminga. And like, he struggled to get on the court. And I mean, and he's like built like a guy that you and I are begging for this roster to acquire at the cheap. Like, he's big, he's tall, he's athletic, like he can shoot a little bit, he can put the ball on the ground. And he struggled to get in again because he didn't understand the concepts, he didn't play the way the coach wanted. And this is where the Chris Finch part comes in, right? Like, I saw the super creative Chris Grinch. Like, I saw all that stuff. Well, this Grinch delivered you back-to-back Christmases that you've never really had for most people that are listening to this. So I think they both have to. I don't think Chris Finch is innocent in all this. Like, I do think last year when I was touting that gap year that just got ripped to shreds by so many people, and I was wrong. Like, the point of the gap year was to give these guys some run to make those mistakes last October. Now, as you're trying to build this thing and you're leaning into continuity, like, you are, okay, well, Rob's throwing the ball out of bounds. But it's like, again, tonight, Mike's throwing the ball out of bounds, and if those are going to be the same level of production at some point, I do think, and I'm pro Chris Finch, and that, but like, if you're getting the same bad things from, again, both quarterbacks, give me the guy that has more upside. And I think Rob has more upside. And again, I might not even rewatch this, Andrew. That's how bad it is. But I'm more positive on what he did against Brooklyn and Charlotte. Two bad teams, well aware. But I thought Rob is trending in the right direction. He just, again, has to fight defensively and then has to tighten it up like everybody else does in rotations or on pick and rolls or whatever, because he does dig to try to get rebounds. He does do his best with his size. That's kind of all you can ask for. But big picture, the point guard thing through 8 games, Dante was cooking tonight. Dante might have to wear a mask until he dies. Like, he might have to be buried in a mask.
He might rip hand. I am so happy they're back in town, because I will be asking him at the next, like, probably Friday shoot around. Like, are you just Rip Hamilton now? Like, are you wearing the mask forever?
I'm actually shocked by it, like legit shocked, because I have a friend who had played in Europe that lives out here, and he's like, dude, when I ever put a mask on, he works like at Nike. I was like, hey, mask, what's that like? He goes, it's the worst. He goes, I can't see. I know the eye holes are massive, but he goes, like, your side to side vision is all messed up, and then like it starts to sweat. And then he said too, and like, watch Dante. He like, I'm constantly trying to tighten it because it feels like 90% on my face, but you want it to be 100. So if it starts to, and you see Dante is constantly playing with that thing. So, but he's been a bright spot, right? I mean, he was another guy that I think had a low stock price coming into this season. He has been phenomenal. I think he is best served playing in that, we call it the Malik Beasley role. Again, on the court.
Gambling?
On the court, betting on himself.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think he's been awesome. And when he can stretch the floor like that, like when you miss a 30-footer, it's painful. When you see a guy make a 30-footer, it's like the most beautiful thing in the world. It's like a cheat code for modern NBA. So I think Dante's the one guy tonight that can sleep easy, knowing that if he just gives you, I mean, I don't even know if you have the numbers in front of you, but it feels like he's hit 14 threes in the last 3 games.
It's something like that. He hit 6 against Brooklyn. Might be more than 14.
And you know what, too? He's getting downhill a little bit. He's a little clever and tricky around the rim, but he also speaks a little French in terms of trying to get lobs to Rudy. And maybe if Baron J comes in, the onus is going to be on the guard or the ball handler to make sure that like Johan's in the right screen position, so he's not setting illegal picks, and then he'll naturally roll. So I've been really impressed with Dante. I think until they figure out the Mike Rob stuff or the Terrence stuff, like, just got to play Dante as much as possible. And with him, at least, right, Andrew, you can say he's fighting on defense, but offensively, he's giving you a ton. So for now, he's the least of my worries. But again, he's not much bigger than me, right? Like, I'm 6'2". Like, he's not going to give you a ton of perimeter resistance. So Then it falls back again on that TJ, Jaden, and Nas kind of weird wing trio of what else can we get from you defensively? Because again, 45 minutes in, I'm offensively, I do think this team can score with anyone. And I think Julius Randle has been all of the trombone noises and is like an all-star right now. But it does not matter what him or Ant can do offensively if they're going to have
They can't give up 130 points.
They can't give up 130 points,
if you're giving
102 shots, and 140.2 defensive rating. Like those things, it does not matter if Michael Jordan's on your team. Like you're going to lose those games. And tonight, against a really good Knicks team, like maybe we just bring that up now. Like I think they play. This
is a Knicks team that'll probably be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like this is a.
Yeah, you can tell they play a different brand of basketball under Mike Brown right now. Like it is more free flowing. There's more threes. Like I know they just got a new coach, which is like, wait a second. I thought it took forever to understand your coach, but they're playing a really good high level basketball. So moving forward, like they play a bunch of bad teams, as we hinted at before. Those are low calories. As Jace Frederick said, you got to take that with 5 grains of salt. But this team might need, varsity JV. They might just need to beat up on the JV team for a little bit to get their rotations tight, to get confidence, to maybe try the younger baguette and just see what happens. So it's nice, right? Like I would rather have this, even if we're going to be like, well, you can't focus too much on that win. It was against the Jazz without Walker Kessler. I'd rather have that than like a gauntlet, because the gauntlet could kind of end your season in the winter, which is weird. I think chewing up on empty calorie teams for a bit is a good thing for a team that is kind of struggling to find themselves.
I mean, also last year, like they lost a lot of these games. Like it gets overblown now. Like they had a 75% win percentage against like below 500 teams. Like that's still a really good percentage, but like, you lose 2 to Portland, you lose to Indiana where Obi Toppin's going crazy. You drop the one to Utah with Ant out. Like this is a team that does lose these games sometimes. So I think if they are winning these games, like if they just take advantage of the easy schedule and win the games they're supposed to, like that's something I'll take from it, of like, oh, at least it's a little different this year. Like it's still frustrating and annoying, and they're going to spend 3 months figuring themselves out, but at least they're beating, like they're taking every game seriously for the most part. I do want to pair these two questions together here, and I'm going to ask your thoughts on it first, then I'll say mine and we'll wrap it up here. But Cole mentions, coaching is the issue, fire Grinch. And then in a subsequent question asks, do you believe we will win a championship with Anthony Edwards? I think those two things are related, but I'll let you answer first. Do you think firing Finch, not 8 games into the season, I'll push back on that. Like he's not getting fired tonight, but like if they're a 500 team around the All-Star break, is firing Finch an option? And do you think that this team is going to win a ring with Ant?
Those are good questions, actually. Yeah, I mean,
you're like shocked. Coaching, like Cole's coming in here throwing fire in the chat.
No, I mean, with all due respect to Cole, like that's why I don't really look at my mentions, because that's all it is. Like I got people emailing me at work being like, what do you think about Chris Finch? It's like, please, I'm trying to cure cancer. I think if they're 500 in February, it's a conversation. I went and looked this up once, inspired by you and all the research you do. I think the number as of like this summer was, I think 19 head coaches in the last 7 or 8 years or 9 years had been fired in season, 19. And I think 2 of those teams made the playoffs. So it's not a lever you pull that usually works, right? Obviously the Mike Malone firing in Denver last year was like one of the most shocking things in the world, but they had already kind of like clinched a playoff spot. They just all hated each other internally. And that's one of the things. And I'll kick it back to you, because you're at more of these games than I am right now. Like internally, the locker room isn't like a lost locker room or anything. It's just a team struggling to find answers. I don't think Chris Finch has to be given the reins until he dies, but I just get worried, and I'm risk averse. So this is me being a loser, but when you fire the coach, and I know that there's a group chat on Twitter and a lot of young people that want to get rid of him. I need a name, because I'll just say this, like rip the band-aid. I think it's a big loser mentality when you just complain about everything and you have no plan. I think we see that outside of basketball, right?
Fair.
Like, so what is the plan? Like, who is the coach you're going to bring? Is it going to be Mike Malone, right? Like, what is he going to do? Because right now, if you fire Finch tonight, tomorrow morning the head coach is going to be Mike Inori, and he's just going to do a lot of the stuff that Chris Finch did, but he's going to have more energy doing it. So, can they win
really good puns though? A lot of good puns.
Yeah, he would be great. And so I think Chris Finch deserves to try to figure some of this out. I know right now it sucks. They lose. They're 4-4, but like they did figure it out for the last 2 seasons. He's constantly been given a lot of stuff, but the onus, I think, more than ever is on him. I do think he has more pressure than ever before because it's like, okay, you got the continuity you wanted this summer. You have this power forward that probably fits your offense better than Karl Anthony Towns, who I know tonight post game was talking about how he's still stunned. I'm glad you and I did not talk about the trade again. I'm so over that trade as well. But it, you know, anytime the Knicks and the Wolves play, you see Cat and you get emotional, or you kind of like, oh, you know, all the good things he did. So I think Finch has a power forward that fits him better. I think he's got his star 2 guard, but he's got to figure out and just be less conservative with some of the younger guys and give Rob a chance, like we said, or crack Baron J out of the, you know, the tundra and kind of bring him into the rotation a little bit. And then to Ant, I don't know how deep I want to get into this because it's late, but
we're at minute 51 on the pod. I got nothing going on.
I think you're going to live a very depressing life if the only thing you want to do is win the lottery, because you're probably not going to do it. And then again, there's a lot of younger people listening to this, and the young people are going to take care of you and I down the road. But I'm not really, I don't ever think that way. Like I think Anthony Edwards has given you and I the ability to cover basketball games in April and May. And it's been awesome. And he's 24, and his best years, as you see in the league with Luka and Giannis and Jokic and all these guys and Shea at the top of the list right now, he's not even at his prime yet. So if he doesn't win a title, but he makes, you know, 2 NBA finals in the next 5 or 6 years, like, is that going to be a disappointment for you and I? I'm sure, but I've got a friend in my life, lives across the street, diehard Blue Jays fan. And I didn't talk to him the day after the World Series. I didn't talk to him on Sunday, but he was at game 1. And it's like that's a memory he'll always have. So getting bites at the apple, which is a big mantra for this organization right now, but just getting bites at the apple to me is awesome, because I have been doing this a long time and you have been doing this a long time, and we've been lifelong fans of this organization. It was always done by January, right?
Yep.
Like Tankathon didn't exist when we were kids, but I wish it did, because it would have saved us a lot of trouble. So I do think they can win one with Anthony Edwards. I believe they can win one with Chris Finch, but Finch more than Ant, they got to just continue to develop, right? Like you want Jaden to grow, and you're seeing it. You do want your head coach and the coaching staff and even the front office to continue to grow and be flexible. So if they think that the point guard they moved up to draft in 2024 isn't the right fit, maybe cut ties early rather than later, right? If they don't think that the point guard position can be solved, I know we love Minnesota Mike, you got to make that move a little earlier than later, because I do think this is a contending team. I do think they have a lot of talent, but they just got too many guys right now that don't know their roles, don't know which hole to plug, and it's starting to the whole boat is starting to take on water.
I will just add to it of like, I talked to Chris Hine about it a few times, of just like Ant and Finch's relationship. Like it really is like a father-son type of relationship. Like they really do like appreciate each other's takes, visions, like the structure. Chris coaches Ant just as hard as anyone has ever coached him. Like as long as that relationship is good, like Finch will be here, because like you don't want to fire the best player maybe in the history of the franchise, like his coach that he'll ride for, until you absolutely have to. I mean, the other thing I'll just add is, like you said, he hasn't lost the locker room. Like you go in to the locker room, everybody's still like in a good mood at practices. Everybody's accountable. Like he runs a really good organization. I think a lot of the issues on this team is, you know, expectations versus reality, almost, where it's like, go back the last 20 years in the NBA. It's Jason Tatum, Giannis, and Steph at age 26 that have won a championship before turning 27. And Shea last year. I think Shea was 26. But like 4 out of 20 years, and their ages were 25, 26, 26, and 26. Ant's 24. Like 2 years from now, if they're still falling short, if they're still struggling to get the juice to play against the Kings, I think then it's fair game to start saying we really need to get Finch out of here. Ant needs someone else to like help motivate him. But like the guy's 2 years away from being a really good, like having his best crack at it, which I think the other thing that you mentioned is just, it's really hard to win a championship. And Ant currently has Luka Doncic, Shea, Nikola Jokic, and Wemby in his conference. Like, that's going to be hard. His entire career, it is going to be hard. It's not going to be the mid 90s where Jordan has to go over Stockton and Malone and just Isaiah Thomas. Like, the NBA is deep right now. I mean, Wemby's already has the Spurs ahead of schedule. Shea's not going anywhere. Yoke is going to be a top 10 player of all time, probably. And that's just the West. So to your point, if you're living on, a championship or it's nothing and what is life, like the odds say they're probably not going to win one.
And this is probably the best way to put a bow on it because we did a lot of Rob, we did a lot of Ja. Dude, you know this, talking to me offline. I hate like being lectured. I hate being told when I'm wrong. Like no one likes to be lectured or have to take medicine. But also too, like if every time adversity hits, you just quit or you just fire the coach, like how's Memphis ran into some adversity and then they fired a good coach, Taylor Jenkins. I'm sure that's a name that people would throw out in the chat to replace Chris Finch. And they got a new head coach. How are the Grizzlies doing? Like, how did that work? You know what I mean?
Not
and again,
great.
I'm nitpicking. I'm sure you can find like again when they brought in Adelman in Denver, they went on a little bit of a run. They're 8 games in. They look great. Let's see how it works. Hell, the Knicks tonight with Tibbs, right? Like Mike Brown has breathed, I think, some fresh air, and he's running laps with the team. Like, but let's see. I think there's a lot of Knicks fans right now that are very tepid on like, is this the leadership change that New York needed on the basketball court, right? Like that's the type of thing. So I think it's a long game, but I'm with you on if you make that move, you better have the next domino lined up because I just think when adversity hits, if you're just like new person, it's bad for you. I said this at Falling Knife a couple weeks ago, but like I got a great wife. Doesn't put the wet laundry in the dryer, Andrew. I can't get divorced because of that. Everything else is great. But like, so if I'm like, oh, that's it. I got to get someone new. And it's like, oh, this new person has no work ethic, no drive, and thinks I'm disgusting. Like that was a bad switch. So Chris Finch needs to be better. I think
seems
the players
very
around
Ja
him,
Morant analogy there.
Yeah, hey, like I said,
Did
I knew it
Taylor
was coming
Jenkins
back
not
to
put
it.
the wet laundry in the dryer?
Yeah, Taylor Jenkins is the wet laundry. So I think they got to figure it out. But again, this is back to like my point about the process over the results. When you think back to last season, you're probably going to say they made the Western Conference Finals. And I remember that stretch when Julius was out, some players stepped up. And then when Julius came back, he learned what to do. And they went on a little bit of a heater, 17-4 to close. And again, then they got stomped in the Western Conference Finals. But again, with this, like one game of Ant, 2 weeks from now, if you have me on, like, are we going to say, hey, Ant kind of had the Julius thing where he learned the holes to plug for this team. He's playing a little more defense. His usage is down. He's trusting his friend Jaden to score more, and they learn something. I like that stuff. I like the whole series of books, not just one Harry Potter book, right? Like, I want to see this whole thing play out. And I do think you'll know by Christmas, by January 1st, like, if we're talking like this and they gave up 102 field goal attempts to their opponent, Tim Conley, I saw the fire Tim Conley. He's going to make a trade. Tim Conley loves to make a trade. So we'll know if this thing is headed in the wrong direction because I think he'll pull the ripcord. But I think this team is facing adversity, and that's kind of when you learn the most about yourself and about your teammates and kind of the guys in the locker room. So I'm excited to see them bounce back. Bad teams on the schedule coming up, but it's there for them. They could be 10-5, as you start to prep for Snowmageddon. So it's all out there. 8 games in, an hour-long podcast on getting whooped by the Knicks. We are so back.
We are so back. We've made it. It's great. We will be live again after the Friday game. I'll be coming live from Target Center. Matt Brock will be Matthew Brockman, not Matt Brock. That's just my abbreviation. I think he's still with the Daily Wolves. He's going to be on the post-game show after Utah. Kyle, thank you so much for coming on. I do want to just mention, Cole, you have been very consistent in the 18 months I've been on Twitter. You have been saying Fire Finch for the entire 18 months. I will never fault your consistency. And first, I'm a Wolves fan that gets to cover the team. Of course, I'm hoping they win it. I'm just saying, with the level of competition in the West, I would set his over under at a half. I think it's pretty likely that maybe he never gets one. I think it's also 50% really likely he does get one. Now, that being said, if Ant wins the MVP today, I will be changing that. Or if he wins the MVP this year, that goalpost will move for me, because then it's like, okay, he has taken another ascension leap in his 6th season. This is like, not many people go out there and win a ring his 6th year. Kyle, thank you so much for coming on, though. I do give everyone that comes on here anything you want to plug, any causes you want to plug. Where can people find you? Whatever you want to say, the floor is yours, sir.
No, again, just, on the cancer side of things, like I work in cancer research. So whether you're young or old, it's always important to take care of your health. Check in on people, urge them to go get tested. But also too, I've talked about that enough. A lot of times people promote books and articles and stuff. I drafted a top 20 Timberwolves of all time image this week that you might have seen, and it did numbers. That wasn't the point, but it was a very interesting conversation online. So if you're looking for something on Thursday morning or Friday morning to distract you from cheering for maybe the worst defense in the league right now, take a look at that, because it is both a fun conversation, Andrew, but also very disappointing and depressing to look at. Like, oh, Sam Cassell, who played like 100 games, is like the 12th best Timberwolves player of all time. Like,
I think that's
where you reminded we have made it. Like, we have come so far.
Yeah.
This sucked tonight. It'll suck tomorrow, but the golden age of Timberwolves basketball is here, and it used to be so much worse. Wesley Johnson, who you bleeped on earlier, almost made it. He almost made the list.
The disappointment I felt when Derek Williams was not good and Alexei Shved wasn't good and James Nunley didn't fix the 3-point shooting woes. I can keep going on, but a lot of heartbreak.
Did you watch the Nets game, right? The broadcast?
Yeah.
I mean, what a flashback when they talked about the Wolves were the first team to win in Barclays Center, and they started, I think it was Luke Ridnour, Derek Williams, Andre Kirilenko, one of my 5 favorite Wolves of all time, and like Nikola Pekovic.
47.
Like, what a throwback.
Don't take this video down. It's not a gun reference, YouTube.
So, it's the golden age of Timberwolves basketball. They just have hit some adversity. And I think you and I are both really interested to see the quotes that came out tonight after the game, and then kind of see what the vibes are the morning after, because these guys, for better or worse, drives me crazy sometimes. Like, they do kind of just let it go and then wake up the next morning and get back to work. And I would imagine that's kind of the mentality Thursday and Friday as they get ready for some lesser opponents on the schedule.
I would be willing to almost guarantee it. Kyle, thank you so much. For everyone else, you can listen to this anywhere you get your podcasts at The Missing Wolves. It'll be going up tomorrow morning. That would be November the 6th at 7 a.m. And thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back on Friday.